ropes it off. A flying tackle by Anna Dropkick.
10 pounds of pure love.
Gotta hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm the rich.
Gotta be the best of them. It's more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
They call this the 10 pounds of gold. The championship has existed in its current proper form since 19...
That was pretty hard, and look at what he's gonna work now. Ooh.
Hey everybody, it's Durger time, and thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Total Extreme Wrestling 2020, Billy Corgan's NWA. We just got done Power, we're ready for our go-home show before My Vicious Valentine, and thankfully we finally finished the Circle Square tournament, which means King Mo has successfully conquered Chris Brooks. It was a interesting, very long tournament. 32 person, took so long to get done. We are done. We have ended it. That means Chris Brooks needs to be removed from the roster, which we can do right now. 220 is 9 days remaining on an initial length. We can just let him go now. It's fine. We definitely want to look at maybe getting rid of some people at some point. One of the things also, I realized that we sent Pinky George down, but we actually moved him to color commentary. So he's actually doing double duty here. He's CEO while also doing commentary for us. It should be fine, but it's something to know. I don't know if that's financially, if that means we're double dipping on him. I suppose it is. But he's been actually a really great color commentary guy for us. Where's our commentary team, actually? Let's take a look at that real quick. Broad announcers. Okay. So for events, we got Gavin still, Pinky, and Gally. For the show, we just have Pinky and Gally. They have low experience together, but they're doing okay. With Gavin here, it builds it up to a adequate experience. So, idea is we'll give Pinky a little bit of work, but look at him. He's very good at color commentary, which makes sense actually. So if you can kind of imagine, he's out there talking about the good old days, about when he ran the company and stuff like that. But that is we may be double dipping there with him being also over on our championship wrestling from Philadelphia. So this might be an issue to have to look at. Now, performance not looking horrible. 4,000 in the bank now. So we're gaining money. Not quite sure from what. Not merchandise, and I mean certainly we have less worker expenses right now. Maybe production costs? No, not really sure. But it's a good start of the month. Well, actually, we're almost ending the month, so that's certainly not too bad. We can look at CZW real quick. They're still at negative 7,000, so that's still kind of a problem. Toward our company here, what do we got? Rated as being tiny. 25 out of 50. It's actually not too horrible. They have an interesting roster, and I think it's something we should look at some point. We kind of talked about it, about maybe going through and possibly taking their major stars, maybe pulling up some people. We did bring some people down there to developmental, specifically Ashley Vox, Austin Gunn, Josh Woods, we sent down there. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, we sent down there really to help out. Ricky Ruffin, Sean Studd, Tim Storm Jr., and Wheeler Yuta. We can see where their progress is. Little bit of progress, not really a lot here going on. It would be probably better if we had a training school, to be honest, for some people. Let's see what we got. No growth, really. In fact, somehow more at the end. That might just be narrowing down his skill level or something like that. But, they are also progressing with their popularity. So, when we sent them, when we had him, he had 0. And when we sent him out there, he now has 11. So, when we want to bring Tim Storm back in at some point, we will have somebody that has some popularity, which will be nice. Same thing moving up. That's just kind of why we have them over there, is to help that popularity gain so that we don't have to deal with it. Like Austin Gunn is probably not a horrible option to bring back in, especially because we're going to need a tag team if we get rid of War Machine. Where's Colton? Where's Billy Gunn, even? Colton Gunn's not in the game. Ooh. Billy Gunn, exclusive written, not going to get him anytime soon. So, Austin Gunn, member of the Gun Club, is going to come back in solo when we get him, unfortunately. Now, we do have a problem, which is Thunder Rosa is going to train for 53 days. A minor hiccup. Truthfully, I was going to plan to probably give her the title. I'm not sure if I'm going to now. I don't know. It's certainly possible. We can always feed it on to somebody else. Or we could build up Kimberly to be a little bit more of a threat, give her a little bit longer on her run, and give it to somebody else, like Deanna Prusa, or probably, Sonya Deville, Sonia Baranato, that we named her that way. Maybe Ace Austin will become the women's champion as well. All these options and more are on the table, I suppose. But the original plan was to move Thunder Rosa onto it, and I don't know about that now, because I don't really want her to have the belt and then go away to train for 2 months to come back. We dealt with that early on in our 2016 save version of that, where we had who did we have? We had an MMA fighter, Ronda Rousey. Wow, I can't believe I forgot that name. Ronda Rousey was gone for 6 months consecutively with our title. We had to make a second title just to give people something to do. It was not great. So we'll have to call an audible and figure out what to do with that there. Not a huge deal, but it is unfortunate and not necessarily what we wanted to do. Now, we got 6 more days to power. Not really anything in the back end that we have to worry about. Like I said, we probably after My Vicious Valentine, we'll look at grooming the roster and maybe bringing a few new faces in and figuring out where we're going to go from there at that point. After that, we have, what's the next one? Spring Stampede, which is a smaller show, and then Clash of Champions after that, which is definitely going to be a bigger show, and we'll kind of probably almost have to lead into that for that 4 months, or for that the 2 months, for the 8 weeks or so. So we got some work cut out for us for certain. I also want to look at possibly after this pay-per-view, looking at our broadcasting. Now, Mav expires in 6 months. I don't know if we can negotiate for a new time slot. Once every 6 months. So we won't be able to do anything there. Right now we're in afternoon. Ideally, we would want a higher slot or minimum quality. We're not running into any situations for. But, we would want to get into a better slot at some point. I don't know who is willing to negotiate at this point. Okay, we're all set on there. But, we're looking for somebody that's somebody like Pop is willing to negotiate, that would probably be a pretty good alternative, much larger. Only interested in events, though. Unavailable. So like that would not be a horrible option. We'll just look at it. Unless the years has collapsed. Right. So we'll have to wait anyway. So we're going to have to wait for a bit. Sci-Fi being on there willing to negotiate is interesting as well. Tough TV is too small for us. So there's some options to move off of Mav and maybe go to Sci-Fi, maybe go to Pop and find out where that is. Looks like we're going to have to probably wait about 6 months because we had that collapse for that damn Canadian broadcaster that really bit us in the ass. And we can circle back and deal with the renegotiations at that point. We have expiration for Fight TV in 10 months. Ideally, I would probably like to adjust the time slot. I don't know what they would do for us here, if they would even give it to us. Not willing. Evening? What are we at now? Ideally, part of the thing is early evening. Minimum 24. We're getting 50% revenue generated, which is nice. And retain the rights to show broadcasting if we want to have our own, show. Problem is, it's such a small pay-per-view center. We really want to get that, evening. I think early evening's better than late night. So that might be the best slot for us at this point. We can't really get anything else, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah, really a bummer. Might be something we'll look at for others, see if we can find something. But looks like we have quite a long amount of time before we have another deal come up. But the fact that we're seeing Sci-Fi and Pop on there is very promising. It definitely shows you our movement ahead. Right now we're at 47. We started at 42. Doesn't feel like a lot, but if you look at the Mid-Atlantic and its spillover, we're making progress. So we need, I want to say it's 8 points, I think. Let's see. Does not say. I think it's if we do like 6 or more, 7 or more points ahead of where we are ranked, we'll go up in ratings, right? So what we ideally want is to get this. We want to be, what's that? Like 55 or more, basically. Maybe it's 10 points. We want to be at 57 or higher every show to impact this. So every time we're under that margin, theoretically, we're not improving ourselves in that area. So it's something to look at that we have to really kind of be thinking about our star power, thinking about who's out there that maybe we don't have, thinking about big marquee talent, someone like another Joe that we can pick up. And we got to be kind of really thinking about that, because ideally what you want is somebody that's, higher than your popularity. So, someone to hire, they're out there. She still have a contract. Well, we'll have to fix that. Some of these people we'll have to fix because they actually should have no contract. Well, like La Sombra Andrade is a good option. Brock Lesnar also doesn't have a contract. Well, we're going to have to fix a bunch of these, but that's not somebody that's probably realistically going to be showing up anywhere. But we want those popularities that are higher than we have on our show, because they're going to be bringing in that big pop, the big ratings. For the most part, we are a popularity-focused company, so people want to see, they're not necessarily looking for work rate as much, though it does help, obviously, but they're looking for who's popular, who's booked hot, even bringing in a Rob Van Dam, current Impact World Champion, apparently, for a couple shows would not be a horrible idea. It would definitely boost ourselves up. And Andrade would be fantastic if, I'm gonna update, and what I'll do is I'll set all the people that had gotten fired over the year, over specifically this recently. Daniel Bryan doesn't have a contract anymore. Holy 91. If we could get Daniel Bryan to our show. Now the thing is, what we're gonna do is we'll set their we'll set their contract to 1 day, and I'll do it off screen in between cuts here. And there's no guarantee that they won't just sign back up to WWE, but they also could become free agents, and there's certainly no guarantee they'll be willing to join us. But it'll be interesting to see what these guys do in Game Changers. That would be huge if he was willing to join us. Talk about throwing money wherever we can. That would be a big deal. All right, let's move on, and we'll get all that squared away. And there we are. So we did the big list of releases here. Dream, Drake, Vanessa Bourne, Callisto, Daniel Bryan, Parted Ways, Mickie James, Wesley Blake, Andrade, Tucker. So all potential options to hire. Hey, it's not going to happen. I would imagine Daniel Bryan's also not going to be interested at all for us, right? It would be fun. But look at Callisto. Maybe. Yeah, 700 a show. Certainly an option. We have to figure out what we would want to do with him. If you guys have an idea for Callisto, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested in seeing what your thoughts are. I kind of have to... I don't like to just hire people, and it's probably a detriment to the way we play, but I don't like to just hire people based on what their stats are necessarily. I'm a storyteller, I'm basically doing this to try to fantasy book and tell stories, and if I need to really have an idea of what I would do, where their role is, and then kind of have to take a second to think about that. What I don't want to do, and I've done it in the past, and it's never gone well, is I don't want to just take someone and just say, yeah, perfect. I'm going to take Callisto. He's got 42 and he'll be great. Actually, that's actually not that fantastic for us. It's not too dissimilar to our main event right now, which is fine. We want more people at the popularity and skill level of our main event, because then that rounds out the entire show. We've had this issue. That's not a big deal. But I also want to think about what would his character be with us? What is his role? What's his function? So I kind of have to chew on that. Someone like a Daniel Bryan's a little bit easier to figure that out. Or even a Wesley Blake, which I probably wouldn't pick up. But I would really have to figure out what his role is. Mickie James is not a bad option. She would join too. That's a good legacy person that could be a game changer for us. Zelina Vega, who has a ridiculous high popularity and skill level, would join us. Well, see, I could think of something or two that I would do. It's going to sound bad. I was going to do with her right now. I definitely can think of some booking decisions. Get your minds out of the gutter, you pervs. I could definitely think of a few things that we could book around for her. and her skill level and her wrestling ability actually isn't like fantastic, but she's great on the mic, which is something that not a lot of our female wrestlers are. But she's competent in the ring, and she has high popularity. Like, she would do fine. That's did I already shortlist her? Yeah. We're definitely gonna have to look at her and think about what to do. Probably, if anything, we're gonna book them. We would hire them and book them for after our pay-per-view, or maybe on our pay-per-view. Lars, we definitely don't want. Brock, we would take, but I don't think that's gonna be happening. Vanessa Bourne, yeah, no, probably not. Jessamine Duke, probably not. Kavita Devi, probably not. I think we're missing a few people too. I have to take a look at. We'll have to keep an eye on Tucker. We want Tucker. Tucker actually fits the NWA spirit in an interesting way, don't you think? Yeah, okay, let's go. I think we can do that. 20% cut on your merch, $500 handshake per show, not covered travel costs. If he'll take it, that seems fine to me. We still have to be careful. We have to think about those exclusive contracts, the ones that we got dinged on with Pillman. That is expensive if we mess around with it. Was Andrade willing to? Yeah, it's way too small for him. So, but like a Mickie James, a Selena Vega, probably have a place, and I think a Tucker. I think we can make use for him on the mid card somewhere. He might even show up as a main eventer. I don't know. I want to see how he's booked on there. All right, let's keep on going to Power, and we'll figure out his role later. Ooh, that was fast. Daniel Bryan got scooped up by AEW. Not shocking at all. Super not shocking. I would not be surprised if I had seen that in real life. Let's worker signings. Let's see what we got. Just Daniel Bryan. Enzo Cass signed him with One Night Deal over Impact for probably to do his thing with the titles. Tucker is cool. We'll bring him in. What do we got here? Handshake deal, One Night Deal, One Night Deal, One Night Deal. Okay. Well, our alliance is going as we wanted, which is to say, it seems that people are being booked in a lot of places. There's still the risk of someone losing it and losing their defenses or losing their titles. So at these shows, that's always an option. We haven't touched this. No one's really touched it at all, except for Katarina Waters, who won it from somewhere. I don't know where. And no one's actually had a defense of this title yet, which is kind of interesting. But there's always the risk that someone else can take it. So, we have to be careful how we're booking that, because it's just as easy that someone could just scoop in and steal the titles from us in the alliance, and then that will alter a storyline. So a lot of times these titles are more prestige, not necessarily going to be a center of focus on holding the titles, more about gaining the titles. So as long as we keep booking it that way, we will be fine. All right, let's get into Power. We are in our own arena. No backstage incidents. No open forms needed. let's try this. No effect. We're looking good here. We had a sellout show last time. Might be. It doesn't seem like. We could certainly expand the venue a little bit, and we might do that soon because we're getting now consistent sellouts. So adding a couple extra seats is what that money is there for. Can't do it now, but it doesn't take much. It just takes a few bucks out of that 700,000 that we have there, and we can have ourselves a few extra seats crammed in the corner without some heavy construction, and that will be fantastic for us. So something we'll probably look at doing probably after the next pay-per-view as well, as we figure out what our new total is. It seems like we need something, maybe another 100 seats or something like that to feel comfortable. All right, we got some storylines to wrap up. Not that much. We haven't really done a massive pre-book for this pay-per-view because it's kind of a smaller one. But we know the big main event, and obviously we have to kind of build the tag scene at this point in this episode a little bit more. And probably it's probably really it at this point. The women's thing is kind of there. The Stark story is going to transition to something else, so we'll figure it out. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. You guys are going to watch it happen. So I will catch you guys on the flip, and we will see what this episode of Power looks like. Alright guys, we are ready for our go home of Power for my bloody Valentine? My vicious Valentine? It's my something Valentine. We got a packed show plus one pre-show match just to give some people something to do. A lot more promo stuff, but I think we got roughly everything we need for the pay-per-view. It's kind of a simple one. We know the big headliners. There's a few pieces we just need to kind of put into place, and kind of, there's still some other matches that are probably not announced, but we'll have to just kind of deal with it. We didn't necessarily build that up the way we probably should have, I guess, but it's fine. The main story beats we got going on pretty okay. So let us get on with Power. So we start the show with a pre-show match. It's 42. It's actually not that bad. Kingdom, Homicide, Leah Rush, and Ty-Ray versus Jason Cade and War Machine. War Machine gets jobbed out here. Actually, Jason Cade gets the loss after Leah Rush pins Jason Cade with a Rush Hour. They all do pretty okay. Leah Rush actually had a 49, showing some pretty good moves in this match. And Ty-Ray was him and Rowe were actually the weak link of the two here, but does fine. It's a work the crowd match. It didn't quite work the crowd though, but it did what it needed to do, and started us off with 42 and just gave some people something to do. Now this got the crowd hot actually. Nick Aldis and Matt Cross come out with Bowden, Bo Dallas, Bowden Taylor out there, watching and observing them. They have slightly new ring gear. It's more like all white. It's kind of similar to his getup. And they're tagging against the Ascension. And it's a pretty hot match. 7 minutes. Nick Aldis and Matt Cross defeat the Ascension. Matt Cross gets the pin with Victor from Death from Above. Nick Aldis head and shoulders above everybody else in this match, which is not surprising in the slightest. Nick Aldis had a 57. Matt Cross had a 48. Victor had a 36. And Connor had a 37. We advanced the storyline, got a great start for the show, and it gave us a 49. It gave a win to Matt Cross, somebody who's been a perennial loser so far. So much so that he had to leave the Kingdom, and seemingly starting to turn his lot around a little bit here. In fact, Bowden Austin Taylor kind of mentions that to him backstage in the locker room for the Satori Initiative, which is adorned by Eastern Eastern, like, Asian relics and, candles. Think a kind of Indian guru get up, and it has a lot of that, a lot of scents, a lot of candles, a lot of, that kind of thing, calming music. Bowden is there, and to kind of watch them stoically and celebrate their win, and he talks to both of them, says, "Gentlemen, you've done so well. When you both came to me, your chakras were so distorted, and now there is harmony within you and between you. Namaste, my lambs." Matt was beaming in a way he has not been for a while. He is super excited about this win, and he expresses it vocally and non-vocally. And he just says, "I can't believe it. It worked. I followed the steps. We followed the steps, and it was like on a whole new level. It's like I could anticipate things. I've never felt this good." And Nick is kind of just showing some camaraderie and celebrating this. Three of them are happy. Colt Cabana enters the locker room, though, looking for Nick Aldis. And he wanted to talk to him in private. And he brings him into the corner, and he says, "Nick, listen, man. You don't see it, do you? This thing here, there's a term for this. It's a cult, man. Trust me, I've been there. You've got to snap out of this before something bad happens." Nick kind of just laughs off and looks around. There's just nothing but candles and harmony and peace. Bowden's in the corner getting a massage from the masseuse. Everything seems fine. He says, "Colt, everything here is fine. It's not a cult. It's just about self-help and self-discovery. Listen, and I've already invested the next 10 grand to become a charter member. With the new lessons, I can't leave now. But I appreciate you being here." And he's very warm to Colt. Bowden hears, though, this conflict, and he kind of comes over and interjects, kind of grabbing both men with his arms kind of on their neck. It seems harmless and friendly, but there's the way his hands are kind of on the back of their neck seems maybe a little hint sinister. And Bowden suggests, I'm hearing this conflict and disbelief. Why don't we show Colt the benefits of the program? See what he's missing, the enlightenment we can bring. How about, in fact, he faces our newest disciple. Matt Cross has so much to learn, but so much potential to give still. So Matt, why don't you and Colt have a friendly spar at the pay-per-view, and you can show him the path to enlightenment is paved with nothing but harmony and grace. Colt visibly gulps, so he could tell he feels like something's up, and certainly something would be up in this situation as he's now facing Matt Cross at the pay-per-view. If this was a cult, but it's not a cult, guys. It's not a cult. It's an inverted funnel for self-help. Okay, you guys gotta stop saying it's a cult. It is not. Got the crowd hotter. Bowden's doing better with his gimmick. It does great. It's 46. Great segment. We now have a match between Matt Cross and Colt Cabana. Surely just a friendly match. It'll be fine. Who do we have for a turn? We wanted to change his gimmick, which we do want to do so. Kind of awful for this, unfortunately. Still, that's unfortunate, but we will manage with it. It's not a big deal. Now, afterwards, Ricky Starks, the absolute Ricky Starks, comes out holding the gold, and talking to the crowd real quickly, saying that, this is proof, everything he's worked for, that he's on a rocket and is ready to reach the top, and nobody's going to hold him back. No naysayers, no family members that are dragging their feet. And he's kind of talking down to some of the other Kingdom members, kind of calling them out a little bit. And he says, listen, I'm feeling good. If you want a taste of the future, I'll put this belt on the line right now. Anybody who wants to challenge me, you're not going to win. And Matthias Breeze comes out to challenge him. And we start a new storyline with Ricky Starks, and we get a 40. It's not bad. He's okay on the mic. He could be a lot better, but hopefully we can improve that as we improve his popularity. And the match is actually pretty good. Ricky Starks in a Alliance Heavyweight title match makes defense number 1 after beating Matthias Breeze handily in 11 minutes pinfall, getting to Buster Keaton and getting that pin. Ricky Starks had a 47. Breeze had a 43. Got the crowd buzzing. Very good match for what we have. Definitely seeing growth already. And again, just building that momentum a bit more on Ricky Starks as we kind of move him up the card, start some story beats with him to see where they end up going. Afterwards, we have just a promo where Thunder Rosa gets interviewed about Kimberly and their match on Saturday and says, that she's essentially going to show her what a real fighter is like, that she doesn't play princess, and she's a real fighter. She fights for the MMA. The MMA. Like, it's an organization. She fights in MMA fights. She's been training. She's been sparring. And she's like, I'm going to make her bleed. I'm going to end her run. Possibly end her career. So calling the shots heavy. Calling out Kimberly's, past a little bit with a little bit of a Chikara jab. Unfortunately, we lose heat with this. Thunder Rosa doesn't do great with this. I think she's a good mic worker, so I'm not really sure what happened here, but regardless, it doesn't really resonate, unfortunately. What does resonate, though Kingston actually struggled without having a script here, which is weird, but we have Kingston and Pillman officially signing the contract. Pillman refusing to basically ignoring the medical advice that Jeff Jarrett gave and signing the contract. There's no fight. There's just some back and forth words between the two before the signing. But we have just a regular old, wrestling style contract signing for the pay-per-view main event between Pillman and Kingston for the title. Pillman not medically 100% and willing to jump into this situation. We gain heat for the storyline, and we get a 58 for this segment, which is not too bad. And we obviously have a pretty big main event going into that. We got a tag member exhibition match where one tag member in a feud are fighting solo. We got Big Kaz, Dax, Hardwood, and Hardwood. Jesus, I can't talk today. Hardwood. That's the porn version. And then Marshall Von Erich. It's pretty good. It's actually had a good heat, decent wrestling. Big Kaz actually drew with them after a referee was forced to rule a no contest after all hell breaks loose. And the reason why all hell breaks loose is all of the tag members basically come in and start fighting. There's some, heat between all three about who should get the right to challenge one another, and it all blows up. The match just falls apart. Big Cass is still struggling. He's kind of in a funk right now. We should probably talk to him at some point and see if we can kind of help him out with that. But in general, we might just have to let it play out until he loses that. Gets a 52, though. Overall, still pretty good. Marshall Von Erich looking great at a 52, surprisingly. I'm kind of shocked at that performance. His brother really holds him back in our tag matches. But pretty good segment. And it leads to another really good post-match after the other remaining members of the tag teams come in, fight, and there's a big scramble. Everything's crazy, and Jeff Jarrett comes out and just issues the line out that all three of the tag teams, there's no more fuss. There's no more who's number one contender, who's that. All three are going to be in a tag match, in a ladder match for the title. Done with it. Tag ladder match is a little crazy, but clearly he's just pissed off at the dysfunction of everything happening. Very bad for the Von Erichs, unfortunately. Very good for the other two opponents here. But we have our match set up now, and yeah, that's pretty big match. Could go a bunch of different ways, and obviously the Von Erichs have a lot to try to defend. And it would be very interesting because we actually have our Alliance tag title holders could potentially get double tag belts, which is kind of cool. Ross struggled because the other people weren't following the script, but he was. So he looked a little rough, but overall Enzo and Jarrett had a bit of a back and forth, and that ended up getting us a pretty decent segment rating. Also, a match actually does surprisingly well. So this is a cool-down match, and it gave the crowd a little bit of a breather. It's extremely short. Delilah Doom defeats Camilla Kane as a local jobber, even though she's actually in NWA in real life, or at least was at one point. I don't know if she still is anymore after 2020. I think she is. 3 minutes pinfall. Delilah Doom ends up getting the pin and having another successful run for her here. She has a 50. Camilla Kane had a 62. I think this might have been a sex appeal focus one for a cooldown, so they did better than their actual in-ring performance. I hate having to book it that way, but I did need a cooldown anyways, and that seemed like the best result. So it's less move focused, a little bit more flashy, a little bit more gratuitous, but it's old school wrestling, and it'll work fine for what we need right now as we build up the division and kind of get their popularity up. Afterwards, Madison Eagle comes out and challenges Doom one-on-one at the pay-per-view. So, sick of the back and forth. Obviously, they're not going to... She's obviously has an advantage because she's going to have someone at her ringside. But pissed off at seeing, her buddy beaten, sick of her in general, and she's going to challenge Delilah Doom to have a match. Unfortunately, Delilah Doom did not do well without a script here, and the segment's not great. Again, this is our issue with our women's division, is just that all around not getting great ratings. Maybe we can pull in a Mickie James or a Zelina Vega, and maybe we can turn that around. That's something we'll have to look at after the pay-per-view. And leading up to our main event, this is going to be a banger. We got Joe coming out to the arena for another challenge. Moving up the card, he said he would. He started at the bottom. He's the main event for tonight. He says, I told you I was going to climb back up to the top. I told you I was going to end careers in this ring. I keep my promises. I was told that nobody in the back wants to face me anymore. Especially after Eli Drake didn't even show up to work. So where's my next challenge? Is there nobody left brave enough to face me? There's silence, and there's a pregnant pause in the arena that you could hear a dime drop into the rafters. Nobody was coming out. No one's willing to challenge Joe at this point. He's about to speak on the mic again, probably to threaten somebody to come out, threaten management. He's still got this agenda. He's still got this vengeance against Jarrett, and he's going to use his disruption to torment him. But before he can get a word in, music hits, and a figure appears in the staging. And of course, we hear from the crowd, from him himself, a Zero Miedo. Pentagon returns after a long absence. This is not our fault, it's his. But yes, Pentagon shows back up. He's looking angry. He's fit. He's ready to fight. And because he has no fear, he'll go right for Samoa Joe. Most people would be afraid in this moment of Pentagon's return, and yet it doesn't seem to even faze Samoa Joe, because most people are not him. This segment gets a 76. We get a great performance from Joe, superb working without the script, got the crowd super hot, and I'm assuming a great match. It's actually a little underwhelming compared to what I thought it could be, but I think we burnt the crowd out a little bit. But it's an exceptional match, and for the first time we've ever done, because I never said it, but technically we do have time limits, so we never really exceeded on a TV show, but Pentagon and Joe drew to a time limit draw. Neither could defeat one another, and ending the show on a draw. Joe might have finally found somebody worthy to face him, as neither could seem to get the upper hand, and are clearly going to be in a collision course for the pay-per-view. Pentagon had a 62, Joe had a 72, and got the crowd buzzing, gives us a 65. And at the end, we just have a segment of Joe looking completely stunned at a time limit draw, and Pentagon just smiling at him, and the two just start to kind of do that hockey brawl kind of thing, where just like, and start fighting each other, and getting the entire locker room to basically pull the two apart, in that sort of traditional go-home segment that you would expect. Gets us a 69. Great ending. I think this is going to be a really good rating for our show, guys. I don't know. But I think this was booked really well. I think we did a lot of stuff. Pentagon coming back was super good for us. Let's see. 64. Super good. Increased popularity in all 25 regions. We did lose a little bit from that production, but not a big deal. It's crazy to see a bright green in here for us. Only a couple yellows. Unfortunately, most of them, actually all of them exclusively, are women's division, which shows our area of weakness. Like I said, and once we get some new people in, some fresh faces and things like that, I think we're going to really start to roll that ball and really get that momentum as down that hill. We just need to get the right people in place and really start moving forward there. Very happy with this show. This came out really great for a go home, and at a full sold out audience too. Can't ask for anything more. All right, we do got some mail. Finley got some Thunder Rosa's money. I agree. I wish I saw it right now though. That's the Eagles is too small. You should really sort of find someone better. Well, thanks, Dax. We've got a 0.5. That's actually a slight increase for our viewership. That's crazy. Show was awesome, apparently. Very nice to hear. And yeah, I would agree, certainly. We should probably look at stealing some of Impact's wrestlers at some point. I think at some point we might look at just locking people in. And that'll be after the pay-per-view. We'll do a little bit of a hiring and firing, a little backstage episode, or and we'll figure out what we're missing here. We did lose some money. Before we go, though, let us quickly look at our venue. So we can increase. I think we're going to invest the entire thing and do a major upgrade. So we can keep on doing that. It's going to keep on getting more and more expensive, which is not really the best way to do it. At some point, we want to move out to a different venue, potentially, or start using other ones. Ideally, once we start getting big enough, we're going to start going on the road, so that won't be as much of an issue. But that 1,000 cap is going to be beneficial to us. Now, finances, still not looking bad at $5,000. Turning the corner with the financials. We're going to get a big bump at the end because I think Pillman's contract's going to come in. So we're probably still going to just get at 500, but we might turn that around. I think we're getting a little bit of extra bump from sponsors and things like that, and ticket sales, so doing well. Very happy with where we're at. Can't wait for this next pay-per-view, even though it's a lesser one. I think we're in a good spot. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Please, if you haven't already, there's a little link on top of my channel and also in the description. Join the Discord. There's a bunch of people that join on my official Discord every day. Always like to see some new faces, talk about wrestling, talk about pretty much everything. Troll me, that's what most people do on there. But also talk about the show and what you think of the episodes and the channel. It's always cool to get people's feedback and opinion and advice through a community like that. So hope to see you all there. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, obviously you should. You just spent like an hour watching this, so what are you doing? Anyways, thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time.